Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. And today, we're going down to New Orleans.
Ooh.
But not for the food or the music this time.
Right.
We are going deep into a dark chapter in the city's history with a mystery that is unsolved to this day.
Yeah.
The Axeman.
Ooh, spooky.
So get this, between 1918 and 1919, this shadowy figure terrorized the city, breaking into homes
Oh my God.
and attacking people with an axe.
With an axe.
With an axe!
That's terrifying.
I know, it's a scary one. And what's so fascinating about this is there's no clear motive.
Right.
Was this just a serial killer with a taste for brutality? Was
Oh,
he
yeah.
connected to the mafia?
Like a mob hit or something.
Yeah.
Oh.
Or was he some kind of supernatural entity like he claimed to be?
Right, because there was that whole thing with the letter.
Yes, we'll get to that.
Okay.
So we're examining all angles today.
Okay.
We've got historical accounts, newspaper articles from the time, and even how this case has seeped into, like, pop culture.
Well-
So to set the scene, it's New Orleans during a time of immense change.
Okay.
World War I is raging jazz is just beginning to find its voice.
Yeah.
And the city was this melting pot of cultures.
Right.
So lots of different anxieties floating around.
Okay.
It's in this backdrop that the Axeman emerges, and he seems to be preying mostly on Italian-American families,
Huh.
often while they slept.
So scary.
And the way he went about these attacks, it's really like something out of a nightmare.
I know. I can't imagine.
He would chisel a panel out of a back door
Oh my God.
to get in.
So they wouldn't hear him.
Yeah, and then use whatever axe he found in the house to attack people.
Oh my gosh. That is so creepy.
Can you imagine the terror
Yeah.
of, like, waking up in the middle of the night and someone's breaking in and they attack you with an axe?
It's like a horror film.
It's a horror film.
Yeah.
It's no wonder the city was gripped by panic.
Right.
People were afraid to sleep in their own homes.
Yeah.
Newspapers were filled with headlines
Right.
about the attack. And everyone was just speculating, who is this guy?
Yeah. What's he doing this for? Is he targeting certain people?
Is he just random?
Yeah.
And that's what investigators struggled to determine.
Right.
There was no sign of forced entry in many cases, except for that chiseled panel in the back.
Oh, right.
And valuables were often left untouched.
So it wasn't a robbery.
Not a robbery.
Okay.
So that led to a lot of theories.
Okay.
But before we get into those, there's this pivotal moment we got to talk about.
Okay.
This is where things get really creepy.
Okay.
The letter from hell.
Dun, 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 dun.
So in March of 1919,
All right.
this letter appears,
Okay.
claiming to be from the Axeman himself,
Wow.
in several New Orleans newspapers.
Okay.
It was theatrical, boastful, and filled with these claims of being a demon from hell,
Oh, wow.
sent to take the lives of 13 humans.
That's so creepy.
I know, and it gets weirder, because he said on the night of March 19th,
Uh-huh.
he would spare any home where jazz music was playing.
So he liked jazz music.
Apparently, so, okay,
Can you imagine what the atmosphere was like that night?
it must have been crazy.
The entire city trying to avoid this Axeman's wrath
Right.
turned into a giant jazz party.
Oh, wow.
People blasting music from their homes,
Right.
musicians playing in the streets,
That's awesome.
and the jazz clubs were packed.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, no murders occurred that night.
Wow.
So did he really back down because of jazz music?
That's wild.
Was it all a cruel hoax?
Right.
Or could there be some truth to this demon claim?
Right.
The letter itself is fascinating,
Yeah.
and our sources analyze it from every angle.
What do they say?
Some think it's a genuine message from a twisted mind.
Okay.
Some think it was a ploy to misdirect the police,
Right.
or a way for the Axeman to revel in the chaos and the fear he created.
Oh, yeah.
So it really is a psychological puzzle within a larger mystery.
Yeah. I can see that.
It's like he's playing a cat-and-mouse game with the whole city,
Yeah.
using fear as his weapon.
But now I think we need to talk about the victims themselves.
Right.
Because each attack, each family terrorized, adds another layer to this whole story.
Yeah, it's important to remember that these are real people
Yes.
with real lives.
Yes. Behind the headlines, behind the theories.
These are families.
Yeah. Whose lives were brutally cut short
Yeah. Or forever changed.
by
This guy.
by the Axeman. Yeah.
So let's start with the very first victims.
Okay.
The ones who really kicked off this chapter in New Orleans history.
Okay.
Joseph and Catherine Maggio,
Okay.
May of 1918.
Mm-hmm.
They're brutally attacked in their home.
Oh, no.
Throats slit,
Oh, my God.
and their bodies bludgeoned with an axe.
Oh, that's awful.
So brutal.
Yeah.
And to add to that tragedy, suspicion fell on Joseph's brother,
Oh, my God.
which just highlights the fear and paranoia that gripped the community.
Yeah. Of course.
Can you imagine losing your loved ones in such a way and then being wrongly accused?
That's just adding insult to injury.
Talk about a nightmare.
Yeah, but this was just the beginning.
Oh, no.
Just a month later, we have the attack on Louis Bassumer and Harriet Lowe.
Okay.
Another couple attacked in their sleep.
Oh, gosh.
And this one's interesting
Okay, why?
because Bassumer survived,
Oh, wow.
but Lowe unfortunately did not.
Okay.
And Lowe accused Bassumer of being the attacker,
Oh, my God.
which led to his arrest and trial, even though he said he was innocent.
Wow.
Luckily, he was acquitted.
That's good.
But the case just shows how deeply shaken the city was.
Yeah, and how desperate people were for answers.
Yeah, like they just wanted to blame someone.
Right.
Now, there's one attack that provides an actual eyewitness account
Oh,
of someone who might have been the Axeman.
okay.
It's the attack on Joseph Romano,
Okay.
August 1918.
Uh-huh.
What's different about this one is Romano's two young nieces were in the house.
Oh, no.
They saw a shadowy figure fleeing the scene
Oh, my.
and were able to give a brief description to the police.
Okay.
A tall, dark man.
That's not very helpful.
That's super helpful.
No.
But imagine the trauma for those girls
Oh, can't imagine.
witnessing something like that.
Yeah.
Were they really looking at the Axeman, or was it someone else?
I guess we'll never know.
We may never know.
Right.
But there's one more attack that I think shows how indiscriminate the Axeman's violence really was.
Okay.
The attack on Charles and Rosie Cordemelia,
Okay.
March 1919.
Okay.
And this one is really tragic
Okay.
because their 2-year-old daughter, Mary Cordemelia, was killed during the attack
Oh, my
while
goodness.
her parents were seriously injured,
So awful.
but survived.
Okay.
So this really solidified the Axeman's image as a monster.
Right.
It didn't matter who his victims were.
He just wanted to hurt people.
He just wanted to inflict pain and terror.
Yeah.
And this attack coming right before the letter from hell really heightened the fear in New Orleans.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what's next?
Yeah, what's going to happen?
We've got this letter. He's a demon. Like, what do we do?
What is going on?
It's chaos.
Yeah. It's like the city's holding its breath, you know?
Yeah, just waiting for the next attack.
Yeah.
And remember, this is all happening during, like, major social and political change.
Yeah.
World War I, the country's dealing with racial tensions,
Yeah.
and New Orleans is right there in the mix.
Uh-huh. A melting pot
A melting pot.
of all those anxieties.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh.
So you can't really separate the Axeman's crimes from that context.
Right.
He comes out during this time of like fear and uncertainty
Yeah.
and preys on a community that's already feeling vulnerable.
Right.
And remember, a lot of the victims were Italian-American families.
Right.
So you got to wonder, was he targeting them?
Yeah. Was it like intentional?
Yeah.
Was it hate?
Exploiting those prejudices,
No.
or was it just opportunity?
Right. Were they just easy targets?
Were they in the wrong place at the wrong time?
Right.
Our sources look into all of this
Oh,
and
yeah.
examine those social and cultural dynamics
In New Orleans at the time?
of New Orleans at the time. It's like he becomes a symbol
Of what, like the
of
anxiety?
the anxieties of that era.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But let's get back to those theories.
Okay.
We
Right.
talked about a few.
Right.
So we've got the timeline,
Yeah.
the details of the attacks,
Right.
the impact on New Orleans.
Uh-huh.
But the question is, who was he?
Right. Who was the Axeman?
So let's dive in.
Okay, let's do it.
The serial killer theory.
Okay. The most straightforward.
Yeah, just a disturbed individual
Right.
driven by some psychological compulsion.
A need for power, maybe?
Yeah, maybe control
Right.
and the brutality of the attacks,
Yeah.
the seemingly random victims.
Yeah, it kind of fits.
It does fit that profile.
It does, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But there is a lack of consistency, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, some attacks were more violent than others.
Yeah. So was it always the same guy?
Right. Was it always the same person?
Okay, so that's the serial killer.
Okay.
But then we've got the mafia connection.
Right.
Could he have been a hired hand for the Black Hand?
Okay, the extortion and violence
No,
grew.
no, they were really active in New Orleans.
Yeah, and they targeted Italian businesses.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
Demanding protection money.
Right.
And, you know, sometimes that can lead to murder.
Of course.
But if he was a mob hitman, wouldn't the targets be more specific?
Right. You would think so.
Wouldn't there be some kind of message?
A warning.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And there's no evidence
Of that.
Yeah.
Linking any of the victims to the Black Hand?
Oh, okay.
Or unpaid debts or anything?
Huh.
So maybe it was just a rumor
Yeah, that makes sense.
that gained traction because everyone was so scared
Yeah.
and suspicious.
Right.
Okay, so we've got the serial killer,
Yeah.
we've got the mafia,
Uh-huh.
and then the big one,
Supernatural.
the supernatural.
That letter?
That letter.
Demon from hell. Hard to ignore.
I know.
Especially with that no murders on jazz night thing.
I know.
It really makes you wonder.
But even if we say no, he wasn't really a demon.
The letter is still really important.
To like understanding his mind.
Yeah, his psychology.
Yeah.
Was he trying to create that persona?
The supernatural being.
Yeah, okay.
Was he just loving the chaos?
Reveling in it.
Yeah.
The fear he created?
Right.
Or was there like a real delusion?
Like he really thought he was a demon.
Yeah.
Huh.
Our sources have some thoughts on that. Some
Okay.
pretty interesting psychological perspectives.
Interesting.
And the letter isn't the only thing that makes people think supernatural.
Right.
Some point to the fact that victims survived these horrible attacks.
Oh, yeah?
Like you're attacked in your sleep, you fight for your life,
You'd think you wouldn't make it.
and then you somehow survive.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It's crazy.
And also there's no motive.
Right. Like, what was he doing it for?
Yeah, if it wasn't robbery,
Right.
if it wasn't revenge,
Yeah.
if it wasn't the mafia, what
Uh,
was it?
It's easy to see why people would think supernatural.
Yeah, I totally get it. Okay, so we've got serial killer,
Huh?
mafia, supernatural.
Okay.
But there's one more we got to consider.
Okay.
Copycat crimes.
Oh, that's a good point.
This guy was all over the news.
I was famous.
He was infamous.
Right, infamous.
And his crimes were like blown up.
Yeah, they were everywhere.
Sensationalized.
Yeah.
So maybe other people,
Wanted to be like him.
yeah, seeking notoriety.
Copycats.
Copycats.
Okay.
Maybe they had their own motives, but
Okay.
they saw him and thought, hey,
I can do that too.
yeah, and that would explain.
But the inconsistencies.
Yeah, why some were more violent,
Yeah.
some were more random.
Uh-huh.
Maybe he wasn't even the same guy every time.
That is creepy.
It's a chilling thought
Yeah.
that maybe he inspired others.
Like a ripple effect
yeah,
of violence.
it really shows you how fear can just spread.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about who he might have been,
Right.
why he might have done it, but there's one more thing. He just disappeared
Yeah.
October 1919.
He's gone
Gone. Poof.
without a trace.
And everyone's just left wondering what happened.
Yeah. Did he die?
Did he go to jail?
Did he just decide to stop?
Did he move?
We have no idea.
Wow.
The sources don't have any answers.
Really?
No smoking gun.
No confession?
No conclusive evidence.
Wow.
It's another mystery
Yeah.
that just adds to his legacy.
Yeah.
Over the years, there have been so many suspects,
Not bad.
but none of them have been like definitively linked to the crime.
It's the perfect mystery.
It's the perfect mystery.
Because it's unsolved.
It keeps people fascinated
It does.
after all these years.
Yeah.
Like a puzzle with missing pieces.
Right?
We can look at the evidence,
Uh-huh.
look at the theories, but we end up with more questions
And need answers.
than answers.
Yeah.
And I think that's why people love these stories.
Yeah.
The unsolved ones.
They leave us wondering.
Yeah, they make you feel uneasy.
Yeah, for sure. But the Axeman is more than just a mystery.
Yeah.
He's become a cultural touchstone.
A legend.
Yeah, he's part of the fabric of New Orleans.
Right. And beyond.
Yeah, he's inspired like books and movies.
Oh, yeah. Books, films.
American Horror Story.
Yeah, American Horror Story.
Right.
He's like this shadowy figure that represents the dark side of the city.
Yeah. New Orleans has always been a little bit spooky.
Yeah, a little bit spooky.
Yeah.
It's history of violence and mystery.
Totally.
And he's not just pop culture.
Oh, right.
It's like he's a boogeyman.
Like a real life boogeyman.
A cautionary tale
Yeah.
whispered in the French Quarter.
Right.
Like he's still there.
Like his ghost is still there.
Yeah, lurking in the shadows.
Yeah. Haunting the city.
A reminder of the darkness.
That once threatened to swallow it whole.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
So he represents that primal fear.
Of the unknown.
Yeah.
We all have that.
We do.
That fear of the dark.
The vulnerability when we're confronted with, like, the darkness in the world.
The bad stuff. The darkness in the world.
Oh.
It's fascinating how one guy
One shadowy figure.
can be so tied to a city's identity.
It's true.
He's both a product of his time
Yeah.
and a symbol that goes beyond time.
Wow. That's deep.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's like he speaks to something deeper in us.
What, like our fascination with the dark stuff?
Yeah, the macabre.
Unsolved mysteries.
That things that go bump in the night.
Yeah. Why are we so into that?
And it's like we're drawn to these stories
Yeah.
because they let us face our fears.
Right. But in a safe way.
Yeah.
Like we can explore the dark side
Yeah.
without being in actual danger.
Right.
It's kind of nice
It is.
in a weird way.
Yeah.
You know?
But you know what's interesting about this case
What?
is how music played a role.
Oh, yeah, jazz.
Jazz.
Right.
The city's terrified.
Yeah.
And they decide to fight back with music.
That's pretty powerful.
It is so powerful. This whole city united by their love of jazz,
Yeah.
defying the Axeman.
By just playing music.
It's like they're saying, no, we're not going to let you control us.
We're going to play our music.
Yeah, and it really shows you how art can overcome fear.
It brings people together.
Yeah, it's like a community.
Yeah.
And our sources talk about how jazz was really becoming part of the city's identity.
It was still pretty new back then, right?
Yeah, it was new.
Like it was just starting to be a thing.
Yeah, this vibrant, energetic music.
It had so many influences.
Yeah, a blend of cultures.
Just like New Orleans itself.
Exactly like the city itself.
Wow.
And then the Axeman comes along with his weird demand for jazz music.
Right. He loved jazz, apparently.
It's like he's trying to connect this music.
That represents like life and joy
Yeah.
with his own dark acts.
It's a weird juxtaposition.
It is really weird.
It's like he's trying to use the power of jazz for evil.
But it didn't work.
It backfired.
Yeah, because he just made jazz more popular.
Totally. He solidified its place in New Orleans history.
Because everyone was playing it.
Yeah. To survive.
To avoid getting axed.
Yeah.
So crazy.
It's like the city fought back with music.
And won?
And won.
Wow.
And you still see that connection today.
Really?
Yeah, in jazz clubs.
Oh, wow.
At festivals.
That's so cool.
He's part of the city's musical folklore.
Yeah. A reminder of the darkness, but also the music that helped them through it.
It's pretty amazing.
It is.
How one event or one person can really change a city's culture.
It's true.
But let's talk about the sources for a sec.
Right.
One thing that really stood out to me
What's that?
is that they all have different perspectives,
Oh, yeah.
even though they're talking about the same events.
I mean, that's history for you.
it is. It's not just facts.
Right. It's
Well,
how we interpret those.
Yeah, and who's telling the story.
Right.
So some sources focus on the psychology of the case.
Trying to figure out his motive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Others look at the social and cultural stuff.
Like how his crimes reflected the anxieties of the time.
Exactly. And some even go for the supernatural.
Like he really was a demon. Wow.
So it's a reminder that even with history,
Yeah.
there's still room for interpretation.
There's always more to the story.
Yeah, different ways to understand the past.
I like that.
Me too.
It keeps things interesting.
It does.
Yeah.
But what does it all mean for us?
Like for the listeners.
Yeah, what can we take away from all this darkness?
Good question.
I think one of the biggest things is to think critically.
Right. Don't just believe everything you hear.
Yeah, don't take things at face value.
We got to look at the evidence.
Examine it.
Think about different perspectives.
Draw our own conclusions.
Be our own detective.
Yeah, we can't just be passive.
We got to be active.
Yeah, question everything.
Analyze it.
And that's so important now.
Right. With all the information out there.
It's overwhelming.
We got to figure out what's true.
Yeah, fact from fiction.
Right.
Evaluate our sources.
Think for ourselves.
Things for ourselves.
Exactly.
So the X-Men story.
You know, it's a reminder that truth is a process.
It's a journey.
Yeah, you might not get a definitive answer.
But the journey's important.
Yet the search itself.
It's about asking the right questions.
Okay, so that's our deep dive.
Into the Axeman.
The Axeman of New Orleans.
We covered a lot.
We talk about the crimes,
the theories.
the history.
The culture.
Yeah.
The jazz.
It's wild how it all connects.
It is. And we may never know the whole truth.
Right.
Hopefully you have some new perspective.
To think about.
Yeah, and we hope we made you curious.
Yeah.
To learn more.
Go do your own research.
Yeah, because sometimes the best part
isn't the answer.
It's the questions.
The questions.
Yeah.
So there you have it.
The Axeman of New
A
Orleans.
story of terror and mystery.
But also resilience.
And hope.
And jazz music.
And as you explore this case.
Yeah.
As you think about the evidence.
And all the possibilities.
Remember, sometimes the most important answers
are the ones we find in ourselves. Until next time, keep those lights on.
And the jazz music playing.
And never stop exploring the mysteries
that surround us.
See ya!